Welcome back to another week of BBN Weekly News. I'm Jimena Garcia.
And I'm Hannah Farrell. On this week's edition of BBN Weekly News, Annie Talbert took a trip to the past, all the way to the Jurassic era in fact, while Shasta Hope is looking forward to the upcoming election.
Sage Steckline will be catching us up on Beaver football, and Delaney France will be giving us this weekend's weather.
Today, Annie will be starting us off by introducing Mr. Super and his amazing discovery.
Thousands of years ago, this dry, high plains desert was once unbelievably under 900 feet of water. While Kansas's environment today is completely different, we still have remains from that time. A fossil has been discovered from that era by one of SCHS's science teachers. I interviewed Mr. Super to learn how he first got into fossils and how he found this fossil.
My name is Kris Super. I'm the physical science and earth and space science teacher here at Scott Community High School. It goes pretty far back, probably all the way back to like toddler age even. We used to have a gravel driveway, and I would, crawl through the gravel and find little fossil corals and things in the driveway even. Yeah, so this is back in 2021. Towards the end of March is when my birthday is, and I like to take the day off work on my birthday. And one of my favorite things to do is to go look for fossils. So I took the day off work, go and look for some shark teeth. One of the exciting things was it was a new area that I hadn't been before, so I didn't really know what to expect. Yeah, I was just kind of walking around at the top of the hill and looked over, and I saw just a pile of bones from like 30, 40 feet away. I could see them, and that was what clued me in. Was there's something over there. As I got closer, I realized, there's a big vertebra there. And I thought there was a bone that looked like a paddle bone, and I wondered if maybe it was one of those giant turtles, and I was kind of excited. But the closer I looked, I realized it's not a turtle. It's actually a giant marine reptile called an elasmosaur.
I also asked him about the process of preserving this fossil and about the plesiosaur itself.
So once it was discovered, there were all sorts of steps. Yeah, so it starts with just kind of stabilizing. The stuff on the front is really kind of loose and broken up, so a lot of glue just to stabilize the stuff in the front. Then you want to look below the site and see if anything important is washed away a little bit, and so you can get on your hands and knees and kind of go real slow below the fossil and kind of pick up all the debris, the stuff that's gotten washed. Once you've picked up the pieces and stabilized the front, then you can start to dig into the hill a little bit, and that would be things like spades and shovels. As you go back, the rock gets harder and harder as you get away from that loose surface. Eventually I switched to sort of hammers, chisels, and even like full-size breaker hammer, demolition hammer type things. And so then it just becomes a lot of digging, try to find out, how much is here? Where are the edges of the bones, right? And then once you have an idea of where everything is, then you try to, you'll kind of cut around it. You'll make a bit of a pedestal. Then you'll cover the bones with paper towels and layers of burlap and plaster to make like a shell around it, like you would for a broken arm. And then once you've got all your bones in that jacket, the idea is to break off the base of your pedestal and flip it, and so you can remove it. And hopefully that's kind of the scary part, is to flip it, especially something the size we were working with. It was the size of a dinner room table, and so I was really nervous to get it to turn over. And luckily all our bones stayed in place. And then once you have it taken out of the ground, then you can do all the detail work back at the museum. So so plesiosaur is one of these. It's not quite a dinosaur. I know we call it a dinosaur. It's kind of fun to call it a dinosaur, but it's a marine reptile. So marine means living in the ocean, and it's a reptile, so it's in that group animals. There's different types of marine animals. You can be more specific. So plesiosaurs are just a group of marine reptiles, and this is a special type of plesiosaur called an elasmosaurid plesiosaur. So these would look like the Loch Ness Monster. They have the big long necks on them. And there's actually like 5 or 6 or 7 different species of these elasmosaurs, and we're not really sure which one we have just yet.
The fossil will be located in the El Cordileo Museum during this process. I talked to Stephanie Fisher, the director at El Cordileo Museum, to learn more.
My name is Stephanie Fisher, and I am the director here at the Scott County Historical Society at El Cordileo Museum and the Jerry Thomas Gallery and Collection. My first reaction to this discovery was I was amazed, but at the same time I am not totally surprised, because western Kansas was once the deepest part of the Western Interior Seaway, that ocean that cut through North America. So being the deepest part of that ocean out here, 900 feet of water or so, it's not surprising that we find very large creatures. So it's not surprising to find a sea creature, but a plesiosaur is a little more of a rare find, and especially the genus of an elasmosaur. So it is a really unique fined, so that was one of my reactions. And then I'm just excited for Kris Super, because what an amazing thing as a local high school teacher to find a rare plesiosaur. This discovery will add to the museum in that we're developing a fossil lab. So the first thing is fossils really are fascinating, and they're fascinating to all ages.
You can visit the plesiosaur at the museum. The museum is open from 1 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday. For BBN, I'm Annie Talbert.
Thanks, Annie. Who knew we had dinosaurs right under our feet?
Shasta will now be informing us about the upcoming election.
Voting Day across the nation is November 8th. Many people will exercise their voting rights and cast their ballots with the vote on statewide topics up for discussion. This year, the governor election is up on the ballot. The candidates Derek Schmidt, former Attorney General, and current Governor Laura Kelly go head-to-head on who is going to take office. Governor Laura Kelly took office on January 14, 2019, representing the Democratic Party, and is now running for a second term. Derek Schmidt took the position of Attorney General in 2010 and was re-elected in 2014 and 2018, and is now running for the governor, representing the Republican Party. Although both candidates are in favor for the betterment of life for Kansans and the future of the state, they do have some contrasting opinions. Laura Kelly has been known for her standings on fully funding school systems in Kansas. Also, with a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in therapeutic recreation, she advocates for students' mental health through the placement of psychologists and social workers in schools. Governor Laura Kelly has stood firm in expanding Medicare and reforming CanCare. Laura Kelly is a strong supporter of women's rights to make their own health care decisions. Laura Kelly is backed by the Kansas National Education Association and former governors Mike Hayden and Kathleen Sebelius. The Republican candidate Derek Schmidt has a law background, having a Juris Doctorate and being the Attorney General for the state of Kansas since 2011. With that, he has an unwavering commitment to protect citizens against violent crimes by pushing to secure the south border of the United States in hopes to stop and prevent illegal drugs from entering the country. Derek Schmidt believes in backing agriculture and using his political power to support farmers and ranchers in the state of Kansas. Derek Schmidt is endorsed by Kansas State Lodge Fraternal Order of Police and former President Donald Trump. Two other candidates will be running for the position as well: Seth Cordell, representing the Libertarian Party, and Dennis Pyle, representing an independent party. Two constitutional amendments will also be on the ballot. One will require sheriffs to be an elected position. Other state positions up for election are Attorney General, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Insurance Commissioner, and 5 seats on the Board of Education. Kansas will elect 1 member to the U.S. Senate and 4 members to serve in the House of Representatives. Don't forget to cast your votes and help decide the future of Kansas on November 8th at the William Carpenter 4-H building for Scott County residents. For BBN, I'm Shasta Hope.
Thanks, Shasta. If you are eligible, make sure to go vote.
Now, Sage will catch us up on Beaver sports.
Beaver football is in the playoffs, and this week could be their toughest matchup yet. In a winner-go-home situation, I sat down with Tanner Gunn to really understand the playoff atmosphere. This is the Beavers' second game of the playoffs after beating Smoky Valley last week.
I think it went very well, except for the first 2 plays. I think we pretty much fixed what we needed to do for the next kickoff and came back, scored, put it back together, didn't let them score again whole night.
Winning a playoff game is impressive on its own, but it isn't the end goal.
I feel like we've accomplished some of the goals, but not all of them. I think that we're still working towards the goal of going further and further into the playoffs.
With each week possibly being the last, practice and preparation for the game will be crucial.
I wouldn't say there's any real difference in intensity, just because we try and do our best every week. We've changed a few plays and some lineups, especially on defense. And with Adrian Elder gone, it's interesting.
The Beavers will look to keep their season alive as they take on the Cheney Cardinals tonight at 6 o'clock. In other Beaver sports news, the cross-country team wrapped up their season last Saturday at State. And with that, for BBN, I'm Sage Steckline.
Thanks, Sage. Good luck to the Beaver football team tonight.
Here's Delaney with this weekend's weather.
The Beavers are back with some inconsistent weather for this weekend. Today in Scott City, where the Beavers play Cheney, the high is 42, low 27. Saturday, we warm back up with a high of 70, low 36. Sunday, high 71, low 34. Have a great weekend, and for BBN News, I'm Delaney France.
Thanks, Delaney. Make sure to stay warm tonight. And with that, I'm Jimena Garcia.
And I'm Hannah Farrell. Thank you for joining us on this week's news.
Have a great weekend and go Beavers.